Good day, everyone. I pray that everyone has had a wonderful day thus far. I wanted to hop on and share something with you. Share what God dropped in my spirit that He wanted me to say. So I know He wanted me to say it because whenever I asked again, this is what He dropped in my spirit again. So I know that even though it's going to be very simple, fairly quick, I'm sure. It is one of those prayers that has definitely helped me along the way, and I feel like God has kind of brought it back to a forefront for a reason for me, as well as for me to share with everyone else who would see this. Then that prayer is the Serenity Prayer. So whenever I read this prayer, if you're like me, you're not good. Some of this prayer that I say, some parts of it towards the end that I say, you've never heard. With the Serenity Prayer, I've only pretty much heard the first part of it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But I never realized that there was more to the Serenity Prayer. The part of the Serenity Prayer that we generally receive is the beginning part, and it's the pretty much shortened down version of it, which is the meat and the potatoes of it, so to speak. But it is more to this prayer, and I see why. And I want to share that with you guys. And the prayer that I'm going to be giving is a prayer that many people know, especially a lot of believers and even non-believers have heard, the Serenity Prayer. Amen. So, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's what we know. That's what I've always heard. That is what has helped me through many times. There was a point where I actually had that portion of this prayer before I realized until today that there was more, but I had that portion of this prayer. I actually drew it out and I put it in my operatory. So, and I actually had it on the inside of my cabinet. So every time I open up that cabinet, I would actually see it. At first I had it on the outside, and then they wanted us to change up things in our operatories and said we couldn't have this out and that out, and I was like, okay, that's fine. So I put it inside my cabinet so I knew that it was still there with me, because I needed God to grant me that serenity. I needed Him to help me to realize that I have to change the things that I can and accept the things that I can't change. Amen. So I'm going to start back over, and I'm going to read the entire prayer that I found on today. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as the pathway to peace. Taking, as Jesus did, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it. Trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. Amen. I don't know, maybe you just as shocked as I was to find out that there was more to this prayer. But I also see why there was more to this prayer. Amen. So once again, like I said, it was going to be quick, short, simple, straight to the point. God said the Serenity Prayer, that is what it is. And if you want to look it up for yourself, then, whenever you type in Serenity Prayer, if you just type in Serenity Prayer, on that first portion probably going to come up. But if you type in full Serenity Prayer, you will find this prayer as well. Amen, y'all. As always, if this is not for you right now, if needing the reminder about serenity isn't for you right now, tuck it away, hide it away, and pull it out during the time that it is. This prayer is one of those things, I promise you. If you get it into your spirit, it will help you along the way tremendously. It changed my life. In a sense, it did. It changed my life because it changed the way I thought about certain things, especially in that particular time. that I was going through, and that change is something that has stuck with me for the most part ever since then. And we're talking probably at least 10 years. At least 10 years. Amen. So, as always, if you know someone who needs, that you feel that may need to hear the Serenity Prayer, pass this on to them so that they may hear it. Amen. And as always, y'all, don't forget to like, share, and follow Voices of Substance on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Thread, and Facebook. And have a wonderful, wonderful night and a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. Be blessed.